Old Ark. How funky it was. All those animals, two of every kind, and all that waste. The human shit. Somebody had to clean up. Somebody, some love you hugged before fear. The fear of an insanation, the no blues ruined your bowels. Go, devil. Public programs like race.
The one cardinal sin that came with being in power was that we could never show weakness. If Craig and I ever did, someone would have surely robbed and murdered us. Of this, I am certain. So my initial thought at 11:45 p.m. on a weekday in the back room of a row house facing the old soldiers' home on 5th Street by the D.C. Reservoir was, this nigga gotta die tonight. I made the call to Randy from Mass while opening a magnum of cognac. In the front room there were drug dealers, con men, stick-up kids, and take-out artists salivating to revenge a wrong perpetrated on 5th and Whittier. 6 hours earlier, Randy waltzed into the 4-bedroom house I shared with Craig, his wife Kiki, and my girl Beanie to buy 1/8 of a kilo, which is 125 grams. Craig and I had long been aware of Randy's dislike for us down south boys. For some unexplainable reason, he thought we were sexually involved with his wife, Chocolate, whom he married upon release from Lorton Prison. From our point of view, clearly he was tripping. Chocolate became the sister we never had, a woman who fit comfortably talking shit to men as much as she did to women. We were down like 4 flat tires as we braved myriad windswept nights under the lamppost Vertiginous glow on T Street, churning out plastic bags full of crack 7 days a week, 365. The phone rang. Chocolate picked up. I swirled the russet liquor around in a paper cup and asked for Randy. The background noise told me Chocolate had an apartment full of streetwalkers tending to her every need, in hopes of getting a chance to melt a white pebble edge at the corner of a metal crack stem. I've been over her house when she had a girl washing dishes, one vacuuming, one doing her nails. True, I never liked Kiki, but Craig and I had a good setup when she moved in. The kind of deals that went down, the cash fluttering through money machines was astronomical. It was nothing to be counting anywhere from 20 to 100,000 on any given week. I never understood why Craig brought Kiki home with him that night from the after hours club on 9th and U. I mean, I had known Kiki since 13th and T. We were all flesh and bones flapping in the wind. Those were the lean days when I really got introduced to DC and street life through JoJo. Everybody on the block at that time did armed robberies, burglaries, sold dope, or whatever to stay above water, and Kiki walked the track like the rest of the hookers, selling her body to get high, and kept a reputation for setting people up to get jacked. Craig took her in and literally turned her into a greater than persona overnight. She dripped diamonds and gold and counted the type of money she had never laid eyes on before. This gave her the swag to try to talk to anybody any kind of way just because she was sexing my homeboy. We had words one night when she tried to regulate how much coke I had access to. That night I called Craig on the cell. From that night forward, she stayed out of my way. I knew who and what she was, but you can't tell another man about his woman. Randy had almost broke her jaw. Craig was my homeboy, so that put me right in the middle of this shit. Randy often called and talked about how he wanted Chocolate to stop doing hand-to-hand combat in the streets. See, I learned a long time ago to stay out of grown folk business, so I listened while he ran his mouth. However, something changed when Randy came home from his second stay in prison and started to hear how Craig and I had gotten tight with Chocolate while he was locked down. Then he started to understand the depth to which we were involved in this hustling game he himself was trying to master. He found out that we weren't small-time hustlers trying to make $300 off an 8-ball. Someone had told him I had the Bahamas hookup and Craig was running bricks from Miami. I think he got jealous, and our relationship deteriorated from that point on. Funny how people always think because you got the biggest sack, you trying to screw everything moving. Actually, Randy's fate had already been determined. He might as well have been on a ferry with Sharon riding across the river Styx. The main purpose for this call was to find out what time he would be leaving the house. Maybe in some way I was giving him hope we could work this out, because he knew he fucked up royally when he violated the most sacred of creeds and hit another man's wife. I said, look, Randy, man, we need to rap about this shit. Lornette, Disco's sister, and Chris's younger girlfriend, probably the prettiest woman I knew from this kind of life, came over and gave me a kiss on the cheek. The court case I had with Chris and Nag's Head had been continued several times, and it appeared like we might beat it eventually. The bulge of her Gaston Glock grazed my shoulder blade. Then she whispered, I'm going to personally put a hole in that motherfucker, baby. Craig, who was huddled up talking with the owner of the house, Matt, a wise veteran of committing murderous acts, a legend inside and outside the penitentiary for his violent approach to personal matters, was diagramming the blueprint to how Randy would die tonight. The room was choked with marijuana smoke, cocaine dust, and hard liquor. Every person in the room was strapped with some type of metal device that killed, be it gun or knife. Some of these men would love nothing better than to push the edge of a steel blade through Randy's gut. This is how we acknowledge our love for each other. I didn't want bloodshed, but this situation was like being sucked into a black hole from which there was no return. There were certain codes in the streets to live by. We were supposed to be big-time drug dealers, and this was the moment of truth. Randy, a man who had as many bodies as Disco or more, could not get away with hitting another man's wife. To not side with these men would mean I would be cast out from the pack. But more than that, to plead for Randy's life would jeopardize my own. We took 2 cars at 1:15 a.m. After about an hour wait, Randy trotted down the steps of his apartment building on 13th and Euclid. In one car sat Matt and Craig. In the SUV, it was me, Sean, and Disco and Lornette. Randy headed north on Fairmont, then suddenly changed directions and darted across the street into the middle of traffic. He walked directly in our line of sight. I kept thinking to myself, from this point on, ain't no turning back. The streets adopt you fair and square. You're a thing now, not a person, not a human, but inhumane. This wasn't what my mother bargained for when I slid down her thighs prematurely and represented the possibility of all she never achieved. I spoke to my father 2 days earlier and told him a bunch of lies about how I was turning my life around. He knew I was lying, but he really did want to believe. And what would my little sister say? I had to make the choice between my family and the pack. I thought about it all and said, fuck it. This nigga gotta die tonight.
Crouch. If you a bum or one of Mumbo Jumbo's reckless, poisonous reeds, a necromancer in the jazz groove suit, was him, an unfit and flicking constitution, was him, an ambulance full of broke down as round as we walk, obeying hawkish eagles. Why the young brother so big?